everybody. This is Alberto Kennedy, aka Grimoire. This video segment is called How Do You Know If You've Been Cursed? And this idea came to me by way of one of the people that watches my video. Their name is Giovanni GFR. This one's for you, Giovanni, and everybody who has that same question. Now, before I go into it, curses, spells, black magic, all of these things, right, in the occult genre, there's some people that don't believe that these things exist. And that's their right not to believe it. Who am I to tell them, yes, you must believe? Really? If they don't believe, that's their choice, and I respect that. Just as I would hope that they could respect that there's some people that do believe in these things. And the occult in general, the supernatural, the paranormal, you know. It's a belief, and some people actually have lived it. I know I have, 20 plus years. But it's about respect. Now, curses. The basic signs, I mean, there's many ways to do curses. Every magical tradition the world over has a myriad of ways to do curses, you know, to perform curses, or you can just do it with words, just boom, you do it. Now, for somebody to curse somebody just with words and boom like that, they have to have a powerful skill set, and they have to have been running their game a long time for that buildup of power, wisdom, knowledge, experience. Other curses are like spells, incantations, rituals, black magic, and that's when it gets a bit deeper and more convoluted. Curses is basically focusing negative energy at someone. Curses can be sending negative entities to someone. There's just too many ways to curse people. It's in the occult, in the occult spectrum. There's just so many ways to curse people. These are the signs. Exaggerated fatigue, like when you're tired, you had a long day or whatnot. Feel that in your mind so you can remember it. Now, multiply that by 100. That you just, oh my God, you can't get out of bed. You are just busted. Like flu symptoms, but you don't have the flu. That is a telltale sign. Sudden illness or illnesses that come out of the blue that you have, and you go to the doctors and the doctor's going like, nope, we run the tests. You're fine. Clearly you're not. And so that's another hallmark of a curse or a black magic issue or a spiritual attack going on. Mind you, these basic signs cover curses, black magic, psychic assaults, and demonic assaults, because the symptoms are the same. Exaggerated extremes of mood or sudden mood changes, though you have no history of mental health problems or psychological illnesses. So when your own mind is turning against you, where your own fears are uncontrollable, paranoia, and all these different issues, mood swings, but like marked, almost bipolar in nature mood swings. When you have not been diagnosed as bipolar, keep in mind, these symptoms can be thrown out the window if you go to a doctor and they assess you, So I would say if you're experiencing any of these symptoms, go to the doctor. And if the doctor can't find anything, you can go to get a second opinion. But you might want to start thinking about the spiritual spectrum. You might want to start thinking, okay, what could be going on in my life spiritually? Paranormal activity that happens around you and only you. Poltergeist activity, where things are being thrown, bumps, noises, and things of that nature are happening around you with frequency. Constant and frequent nightmares. Not just your random nightmare, no, constant and frequent nightmares that happen all continuously. That's another hallmark of being cursed or being under psychic or spiritual attack or demonic attack. Serious and constant depression, rapid aging, and developing illnesses normally attributed to old age. That would be like if you're in your late 20s, early 40s, but you're developing symptoms that which somebody in their 60s and 70s and 80s go through. That's something that you want to take a look at seriously. Aging. There are curses and black magic spells where the entity, the negative energy, or the person working on you is feeding on you. They're draining your life force. I paused because I remember back in the day when I was not so brightly lit, I was good at that. I mean, I'm still good at that. I just choose not to do it. Don't get it twisted. I'll feed on a black magician like nobody's business because I'm always hungry. But never on innocent people. Never on people that are innocent, you know? Anyways. They can age you, which is creepy, but it does happen. Noticing bugs everywhere, but a lot, not just a random fly or a random whatever, you know, but no, a lot, like they're massing, you know, flies, a swarm of flies in an area or near you, you know, bugs and flies and things of that nature, but always around, always around. That's a note that there's something rotten in Denmark and it's not the cheese. Sums up. Attracting an unusual amount of mentally unstable people. Now, this is when you're carrying a negative charge. If you've been cursed, you're carrying a negative charge. You will be attracting the mentally unstable, people who are not all there psychologically and mentally ill. And they will flock to you because they're easier to control and manipulate by dark entities and negativity in general. Acute PTSD of past traumas that you may have already dealt with, anxiety, panic attacks. Now, this PTSD, the post-traumatic stress disorder, is coming from something that you have already dealt with in the past, or maybe that you've buried deeply in your subconscious. Well, if you've been cursed, if there's black magic afoot, if there is a negative entity or energy around you, they can exacerbate these issues to the nth degree, to a point where it's like you just experienced it or that you are experiencing it. And PTSD is when you're experiencing a traumatic event over and over and over. It's like you're stuck on a loop. And so you have the emotions, the feelings, and everything of that traumatic event all the time. Keep in mind, curses, black magic, psychic, spiritual, demonic attacks, all of them, what they all have in common is that they will always attack you on the psychological, emotional, spiritual, and physical. Why physical? Because if you're being, over a period of time, if this goes unchecked, if you're being attacked on the mental, on the psychological, spiritual, emotional, on all these levels, over a period of time, that stress will physicalize in your physical body in terms of illnesses, physical illnesses. And if it goes unchecked further, that can be deadly. Now, those were the basic signs. The advanced signs is spiritual infection. What's spiritual infection? Spiritual infection is when you there's just this negative funk, this film around you where nobody wants to be around you because it affects them. So you repel people. That's when you know you're infected. And this goes on for a period of time where it gets stronger and stronger and stronger, where you start alienating people. And then you get tired of this not being in control. Because when you are spiritually infected, that means you are losing control of you, your finances, your personal life, your spiritual life, your social life, on every aspect of your life, you're losing control. That's when you're spiritually infected. If that goes unchecked, it goes down to isolation. Well, of course, because if this is going on, if you're noticing that people are abandoning you, leaving you, you're repelling people, you don't know what's going on, you're not in control of yourself, you're going through all of the basic symptoms that I just enumerated, well then, yeah, you're going to say, you know what, screw it, F it, I'm going to just be by myself for a while. Well, now you've effectively isolated yourself. Not that you did it, you're being forced to do it. You're isolating. So therefore, that's isolation. When you're alienating yourself from others. And then over a period of time, that can get worse to spiritual oppression. Well, since you've successfully alienated everybody around you, now it's only you. Now your depression, all the basic signs it's kind of like your inner self is turned in on itself. You're punishing yourself. And then depression sets in even further. Thoughts of suicide. This is where your mind turns on itself, and you're hurting yourself mentally and emotionally. What this does, it's opening you up in a negative way. It's opening you up for the next phase, which is possession. Curses can do this. Black magic can do this. That's what it's designed to do. Keep in mind, magic is to exalt the God in you, because we're all part of God, right? That's what magic was initially supposed to teach us. We're all part of God. We're all part of some great light, the great beginning, the great ending. What we come from when we are born, and what we return to when we die. Well, magic is supposed to connect you with that source. Well, black magic is supposed to cut you off from that source. Some examples of curses. Someone can curse you. Black magic, I gave you, like I told you, demonic attacks, and all that. But these are some very rare forms of curses that do exist. Now, self-curses. People curse themselves all the time without even knowing it. Have you noticed that sometimes you go, "Oh, this is never going to happen," because you know what? It never happens to me, so it's never going to happen. You've just cursed yourself, and it doesn't happen. So you set yourself up. In psychological terms, that's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Guilt. Sometimes we hurt ourselves or we curse ourselves through guilt issues. Unresolved issues where we feel guilty and we have a powerful guilt. Like, for example, if just pulling this example out of the air, some of you may understand this. If your mother passed away, you were not the best child. You were kind of rambunctious and rebellious. And then she passes away. Well, then you feel that you failed her. You feel all these issues come up that you could have, should have, would have, could have. I could have been a better person. I could have been a better child. I could have done this. I could have saved this. Then you start cursing yourself because you're punishing yourself. That's another form of self-curses. People curse themselves out of fear. When they're afraid of something, to do something or whatnot, that fear will call everything that they're afraid of. And that fear will manifest everything that you're afraid of. Not to hurt you. The end result is for you to face it so you won't be afraid of it anymore. But that's self-curses. Another form is inherited curses. Many people are walking around with curses that they themselves have inherited from their family line. Yes. I've done spiritual cleansings on some people that had this going on, and they had it going on for generations. Generations. And it's no joke. Because once you get rid of the curse for that person, you have to heal their mind. Because their mind will call it back because it's what they're used to. That's the other part of it. Generational curses, inherited curses. Now, the last type, well, the second before the last, this one's important. Sexual curses. You need to know who you lay with. Because if you're laying, how can I put it in my notes right here. Sex curses. Absorbing curses from the people or person you lay with. Keep in mind the sex act is when you're unifying with somebody else. If it's a one-night stand, fly-by-night, the chemistry was off the hook, and you guys connected, and you know it is what it is, a one-night stand, whatever. Know who you doing it with, because that person could have mad curses on them that you're absorbing when you unify with them during the sex act. Okay? Just putting it out there. Ain't nobody want to talk about it, but I'll talk about it. Be careful who you lay with. Because when you twin, when you connect with somebody on a sexual level, you are becoming one with them for that period in time. And you're carrying a part of their essence within you as they are carrying a part of your essence with them. So you've just twinned with that person during the sex act. So of course, there's a transference that happens. And you can absorb somebody else's curses, somebody else's karma, which leads me to the last type of curse, karmic curses. Karmic curses are difficult, let me do this, difficult to get rid of. Not impossible, but oh my God, it's a headache trying to get rid of them. Karmic curses are rare because they're past life curses. And also, we live in a world of cause and effect. If you do something most horrible, most egregious to somebody else or people, all of that has to come back to you to balance the scale. It may come soon, it may come later, but it's coming. Karmic curses, the only way, only certain people can get rid of karmic curses. It would be best if you try to do it yourself and keep trying and keep trying. But karmic curses, from my experience, a surefire way to rid yourself, to dissolve, resolve or dissolve a karmic curse is through a sin eater. They are rare. Good luck. I will share a story. I'm gonna see my time. Yeah, I'll share a story with you. One time when I was younger, I did a exorcism on a friend of a friend, and I'm editing as I'm speaking. No names. I did this at a coffee shop. I was very arrogant. This is my time when I wasn't brightly lit. And this person carried a demon over through many lifetimes. And there was already integration. So he was already bonded with this demon. But he was afraid for his child because he felt this entity or this demonic entity wanted to bond with the child. So when I was talking with him, and I used my abilities in a coffee shop, talking to the person and whatnot, jumped on the astral plane, ripped this entity out, fed on it. Karmic curses or karmic situations are very dangerous. There's always the law of equal exchange. If that demon couldn't have what he wanted, he was going to take something else. Since he couldn't do that with me, he had to let me know it wasn't okay. This happened, something happened in my job at the time, and I was immediately fired. It was the bomb job too. I loved that job. But I was fired. And it happened, and this is the signature. June 6th, 2006. Work that out. So karmic curses are dangerous because even if you get rid of it, there's the price to pay. And the person getting rid of it for you will pay the price. Someone's paying. What you can do to remove these curses. Yay, we got to that part, right? All right. To remove these curses, these are some of the things I'm going to tell you to do. How to repel curses with your gods or God. You know, if you have a higher power, work with that higher power. Work with that higher power. Work with that higher power. That's a bomb way to get rid of curses. Also, my technique that I use. Crow feathers. I have a lot of crow feathers. Crow feathers, they're black. Obviously crow. You rub it all over yourself, all over yourself, all over yourself, and then you set that feather on fire. You're burning all the darkness, any connection to the dark, you're burning it. And that's more of a shamanic, I don't like to say trick, tactic, method. But yeah, it works. Crow feather. You can try a raven feather. Cleanse yourself with fresh rosemary. Leave it out to dry, then burn it. Rosemary is good to counteract anything negative, even curses. Cut a little of your hair and burn it. That's a little voodoo. When you cut a little bit of your hair, don't like go G.I. Jane, but cut a little bit of your hair and just burn it with a candle. What you're doing is whatever's attached to you is attached to the hair too. It's part of you. You burn it. You're burning that entity or anything negative. Look at yourself in the mirror, then lay the mirror down flat. Pour a little agua florida or Florida water on the surface of that mirror and light it on fire. Just a little. Don't like get all pyromaniac status. Just a little of the agua florida or Florida water on a mirror that's laying flat. After you've stared at yourself in the mirror, and you basically look at yourself, meditate or whatever, but take a good look at yourself, and then you just boost. What you're doing is you're cleaning your effigy. And I do that all the time. It works because people when they curse you, they don't need a lock of your hair, they don't need a personal effect or whatnot. They just need to have you in mind. If they're down for their, pardon my French, shit. If they're down. They don't need anything but to know what you look like or your name. So the mirror thing works. You can also look at my video, my other video, where the title is Easy and Simple Spells Against Black Magic. That one is the bomb because I put some of my most powerful spiritual cleansings in there, stemming from voodoo, stemming from Santeria, stemming from Kabbalah. Those are really good. And I would suggest you review that video to help you out if you feel, in fact, that you have been cursed. Note, to conclude, sometimes doing these ritual cleansings one time isn't going to cut it. It's not going to cut the mustard just doing it once. You need to do it repetitiously. For example, I'd err on the side of caution and do them once a month for a couple of months, just in case. And then I'd sage myself and my environment, my living environment, every week, especially if I feel that I've been cursed or I've been worked on. And these things that I share with you are outside of actually going to somebody like a brujo, psychic, santero, babalao, hongun from voodoo, a mambo from voodoo, or anybody that works in magic to help you get rid of something. If you feel, in fact, that you have been cursed or that you are cursed. Remember, not everybody's cursed. There are other factors that you want to take into consideration. But if you feel that you need to do it, cleansing, You know, cleanse yourself. Don't wait for written proof. Take care of you because you matter. I hope this answered your questions regarding how to know if you've been cursed. Thank you, Giovanni, for asking this question because it's a valid question. Let me know if you like my video. Let's all bring light to dark places. And until next time. Okay, bye.